Welcome back. I have several updates that I'm going to launch pretty much right into. Many kind of smaller components have progressed, so I'm hoping I remember to cover everything. But I'm just going to start here. As you can see, the table has been moved out. Also, the chairs have gone. The strips of tape on the floor were kind of the beginning of planning out how many shelving units I can fit here. As soon as that table was gone, I started condensing and kind of reformatting to get a bunch of these motors off the floor. This is not really complete or the ideal setup. I just needed to start getting some of that stuff out of the way to keep things moving. I also got this table that was sitting in here cleared off. I'm not sure yet if I'll maybe be able to use some of these smaller tables in other ways. So I mainly pulled it out because I needed to shift some things around to get that shelving unit pushed back out of the way. I did ultimately put on the top shelf to this unit and threw the stuff that was on that table on top. I had also mounted this Casablanca display piece on the side. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw a little preview of that on my stories, but I didn't really show any of how it was set up. I've been sitting on this piece forever, but it needed cleaning up, and it was never really a priority because I didn't know how or where I was going to mount it. On the back side, it's got this hardware coming through, so flush on a wall doesn't really work that well. I thought maybe eventually I'd get like a display easel or something like that to prop it up on, but these units are wide enough to put it on the side, so this setup is perfect. And the point of this is to have the boxes facing out, so there's not much to see on the sides. I did have to modify it with a couple holes to put these screws through, but I think it was worth it. This saves so much space compared to making a display of its own. So when I kind of thought about this and figured it out, I immediately pulled this out and started cleaning it up. Anytime I can figure out where to put something and get it off the floor, it becomes a priority. Less things to keep moving and shuffling around. Unfortunately, I need to take this entire thing apart again, so let's get into that. So I have purchased what I believe to be the rest of the shelving components that I need. There's a few more tucked behind here. And like I mentioned in the last video, I wanted to get shorter poles for everything else. I really wanted something more like 48 inch, but the place that I'm buying from does not offer that length. Other places and manufacturers do offer that, but they don't offer the custom shelving sizes that I need. And at this point, I didn't want to mix and match. I've already budgeted to use these components. And the next size down that this place offers is 36 inch, which is just too short. I think overall I would like where that height sits, but it doesn't offer enough versatility for the height of the boxes. It would just make fitting everything in too difficult. So the solution is I just got more of the same length ones and we trimmed them down. So this is actually going to solve a couple of extra things as well. First of all, I didn't like how much extra length there is down here that I can't use. This particular manufacturer doesn't put the little mounting ridges all the way down to the end of the rod. So realistically, this entire thing is sitting higher than I would prefer it to be. So for this particular unit, I am going to use this batch. And this set only has that very bottom part trimmed off so that I can put the shelving all the way down to the bottom. That'll drop this entire unit kind of as it sits down to a more reasonable level for me. The more I thought about it, the more I kind of liked the idea of having one taller and one kind of shorter in this area. So this will be the taller one, and then once I take it apart, I'll trim these rods down to the length that the rest of them are. So then the rest of these that I got, we trimmed down to a slightly shorter 44 inch length. Again, we trimmed them down so that I can put the shelf all the way to the bottom, utilizing my vertical space as efficiently as possible without getting too tall. But overall, they'll be sitting just that little bit lower. And that's mainly for the sake of being able to record the display. If I want to get an angle from down here, I can't have shelving all through here blocking this. And I don't want to have to move everything every time to get the shot. That video is hard enough to get done without having to move things. So I'm trying to split the balance of fitting as much as I can out here while also not destroying my potential for that video. So today I'm here doing multiple different things, mainly on the vlog side. I just wanted to get this opened up and get these updates out of the way. But I would like to get the replacement shelf for this one put together and this stuff swapped over so that I can take this one apart. I want to be able to get the rest of these components cut, prepped, ready to go, so that when I decide I have time to just cruise on this project, I can just go and I won't have to worry about things not being ready. So I am going to go ahead and try to get this done. Alright, I have this all swapped over. The difference is subtle, but I think the impact is definitely there. You really probably can't understand the scale through video, but the items on top are definitely more at eye level, which is more of what I wanted for this particular unit. Before, it was almost like looking up at the items on top, so they were just a little bit too high. I have a little bit of time left, so I think I want to get the unit with these 36 square shelves put together. I don't have a lot of space to work with out here, but I think that I can park it in this area. I think a couple of these might end up on it, so that would eliminate this. Even if not, I could shuffle a few things around here to make it fit, but I want to get at least the start of it put together so I can start experimenting with what I can fit on it. So I'm going to get started with that, and then I will check back in. Okay, here is what I've done with this one. I am truly just playing around. The windmill, the Coronado, and the Morpheus were a few of the key ones to get located. I was able to find some other items that filled in pretty well. I actually love the way the top layer came out. It gives me a few different heights to play with for putting things on top. And I kind of get 3 sides of viewing instead of just 2. Down here I just popped something in that would fit in the space, but it kind of gives an idea of what I can do with all these little extra gaps that present themselves. Like that very first shelf I laid out, this one presented a couple of frustrations again, but I think ultimately it laid out okay. This segment is kind of the only thing I'm not exactly thrilled about. Eventually I'll probably try to play around and fill this in a little bit better, but for the time being it fits and it works. So this pretty much wraps it up for today. I'm gonna head out and I will see you back soon. Hello, apologies if I sound terrible. We've had Canadian wildfire smoke blowing down here the past couple of days, and I have not been doing well with it. The air quality has been absolutely horrendous, but I am back for my first check-in after cleanup week. Always a crazy few weeks both during and after. It started out as a very mediocre, below average year, but I ended up doing pretty well on ceiling fans in the end. So there will be lots of videos featuring new things I've found coming up soon. On the vlog end of things, obviously I've been busy with cleanup week and processing everything afterward, so I haven't done much. Pretty much everything I've been doing with my floor moves is going to be on hold for the moment just because I have so much stuff packed in here and there's not really working room. I have to get processed through some of this new stuff before I can pick that back up. The one thing that I did really have to squeeze in was getting the Tiburon up on display. I launched all that content a few weeks ago, so I had to get this one out of my back storage and studio mix. So the only other thing that I've really done is, as I've had a few minutes here and there, I've started planning some of the other display changes. I don't have everything done, and I'm still kind of trying to plan in some of the new cleanup week stuff that I've found. So that part is still a work in progress, but I've been editing this current video, and I just need to squeeze in a few minutes here at the end, so I'm going to try to make a couple of changes here. And I'm going to do these 2 locations. So in place of the Victorian, I'm going to do this craft-made Civic. This is one I've wanted to get worked in for a few years now, but it's not the most interesting thing ever, so it's been low priority. I've had a couple chances where I could have put it somewhere with a light kit, but I don't really have many light options that I love with this particular model, so now I'm specifically working it into a location where I don't need a light kit. And then in place of the WF series, I'm going to do this antique brass Panama. Similar to the Civic, I've wanted to do just a basic Panama for quite some time, but again it's been low priority because it's just not the most interesting fan that I could be showing. So I'm going to add a K4S to this. I've already done a little prep work here to get ready for that. Otherwise, I'm just going to get moving on getting the existing fans pulled down. My battery died and I didn't want to stop to change it, but I finished pulling everything down and I got the crossbar up for the Panama. So now I'll just work the other way and get these put up. Okay, I am finally done here. I just swapped out these light bulbs for ones with slightly higher lumen output. I just ended up needing a little bit more punch out of this one. Since the fan selections themselves are a little less interesting, I tried to do blade selections that would amp it up slightly. I went with the darker wood tone here, and then this fan in particular is a whole hodgepodge of parts. So there isn't really a blade set that goes perfectly well with the fan itself. I wanted to stay in the more basic classic realm, and I knew I wanted to do the soft pointed tips, but I chose the high gloss to give it a little extra something. I wasn't initially sure what I wanted to do with the light kit, but ultimately went with the classic crystal look. I think overall these choices elevated a more basic look into something a little higher end. So with that, I'm going to close this video out, otherwise this one is going to get pushed way out beyond where I want it to be. I have an actual true vacation coming up and won't have much time over the next few weeks to do anything on this end. I will have to kind of pivot back to processing cleanup week stuff and get that all wrapped up, just so I can get space back to maneuver around and work in here, but I put aside some time today so that I could get this video done. Remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell before you leave to get updates for all of my new videos, and I will see you next time. Click left to watch another vlog, or click right for my entire shop vlog playlist to start at the beginning.